Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I'm going to get started with today's live stream here momentarily. We'll give it another minute or so for people to join us. But as you're coming on, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel, and let us know where you're tuning in from. All right, I see we have quite a few people joining the live stream. Welcome, welcome. I'm going to get started here in about 30 seconds or so. Going to go over Tilray Q3 earnings, missing expectations in a big way, and also just go over some discussions with regards to the earnings call. So we'll do a little bit of a review there. Let me know if you were on the call, if you were bullish or bearish on the result. Did you enjoy the call? Did you not enjoy the call? What stood out the most to you? I'll give my thoughts and opinions as well, but like I said, just sit tight another 15-20 seconds and we'll get started. All right, going to get the live stream kicked off. Welcome, everybody. It is Monday, April 10th, second live stream today. It's been an eventful day in the MJ industry. And obviously the last video was with regards to Tilray acquiring HEXO in a $250 million deal. But welcome back in the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rod with Power Group. If you can smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, click the bell, and you'll be notified on any future videos. As I mentioned, going to go over Tilray Q3 earnings, and they missed expectations. Going to go over the conference call as well. I was on the call. I expected it would probably go an hour, well over an hour, and it did. It was about an hour and a half. So again, let me know what your thoughts and opinions were if you were on that call, and we'll go through some analysis of what to expect into tomorrow for the Tilray chart. But going to get started, I see we have quite a few people with us joining us. We've got from QC Canada, so Quebec. We've got Georgia. Welcome. See, we have a ton of people joining. So again, make sure to smash like, help support me in the channel, and we'll get started. Let's go. So as I mentioned, massive day in the MJ industry. And at the moment, we're not really 100% sure what's going to happen with the stock price tomorrow. There's a lot to factor in. At the moment, it was down after hours. Tilray sitting at about 260, so down about 5%. I wouldn't be surprised if we were down 5 or 10%, maybe over 10% tomorrow, actually. But I was a lot more bearish before, but because of the fact that, and you can check out the video that if you haven't seen this video, just go over to my Power Group YouTube channel, HEXO acquired by Tilray. I highly encourage you to go over that, give my thoughts and opinions. I won't reiterate everything in this video just out of effort of time, but I'm a little concerned about Tilray because of the earnings miss. So they had a huge miss in revenue, so 145.6 million actual versus 150.05 million expected. That's in USD, and then a big miss there, $1.2 billion loss, negative $1.90 for EPS, and it was forecasted at negative 0.05. So a huge miss on EPS and a big loss for Tilray. So this should bring the stock down, in my opinion, over 10%. But something, a little bit of a wild card is that HEXO, they acquired HEXO, and it was at basically no premium. So usually the acquirer pays a 20 or 30% premium, which is industry standard. But since that wasn't involved, that might actually help Tilray and its share price tomorrow. But again, I think this is going to overshadow that this big miss in terms of EPS and revenue, and the $1.2 billion loss. I think that's going to hurt it. But again, not as bad since they were able to get a pretty good deal on the HEXO transaction. So as I mentioned, Tilray Brands reports third quarter fiscal year 2023 financial results and announces the acquisition 100% of HEXO Corp. Again, not going to go through all of this in its entirety, but if anybody does have any questions, I do want to save some time for that at the end. So if there's any questions, anybody wants to share your thoughts and opinions, just vent by all means. Feel free to do so. But we'll go through this here real quick. Again, the call was very, very lengthy, so I probably won't be able to go over every single thing. But yeah, I'll try to keep this as short as possible. Strong financial position with $408.3 million in cash and marketable securities. So we'll just go through this here a little bit. They did provide some updates with regards to Germany and whatnot. But we'll go through this a lot here. There was a lot of questions on HEXO too, to be expected on the earnings call. But I did want to go through, and if you want to see the webcast replay, you can just go to tilray.com, click on investors, and then you'll be able to watch the replay there. So yeah, if you just go to investor relations, I'll just show you how to get to that real quick. Go to investors and then scroll down, you'll see events, and then just click on that third quarter earnings call, and then you'll be able to re-listen to that. But again, it is pretty lengthy, so we'll go through a recap. And again, if you are on the live stream, let me know if you were on the call and what you thought of that call. What stood out to you? What did you not like? What did you like? Always love hearing from you. But we did get an official confirmation from HEXO as well through Business Wire here. And yeah, one thing I want to start off by saying is we don't know to what extent this is going to impact HEXO employees. So first and foremost, heart goes out to, there's probably going to be a lot of layoffs as a result of this. I have no idea what to expect. I would say a good chunk, maybe 50% or higher of the staff is going to be let go. We know that they recently got rid of about 50% of their staff, and then through Zenabis and Redecan and things like that, using those facilities. And yeah, it's not looking good. Hearing some rumors that TLRY could be let go, hearing some rumors that there could be a ton of staff let go as well. So first and foremost, my heart goes out to those that will be impacted by this and that do end up losing their jobs, because there's definitely going to be, in my opinion, there's definitely going to be a large amount of employees that get terminated. And that's just the cold hard truth. Unfortunately, it is what it is. It's necessary. It's going to happen. There's no need to have that much staffing, right? If we're going to be putting the two companies together and cost cutting initiatives, right? Obviously, that's going to be a big thing. So, yeah, it's a tough world we live in out there right now, especially in the MJ industry. And it's only money. We can, as retail investors, I can relate to everybody. My retail investments are down. My investments in MJ are down. Some of them are down 80, 90%. And, it's only money. I never invested any more than I was willing to lose. Didn't break the golden rule. But, it's not just HEXO. It's not just Tilray. 80 to 90%. All MJ, U.S. producers, Canadian producers, retailers, ETFs are down 80 to 90% plus from February 2021 highs. Even the profitable companies like Green Thumb, right? So what is their excuse? And it's not just HEXO that got knocked down. It was down about 99% from February 2021 highs, and now Tilray is down about 97%. And they mentioned on the call, Irwin said that he was obviously not happy with the stock price performance, but it's only money, right? Like we have to think about this, that, we as investors, we're investing money that we should be investing money that we're not, that we don't need, right? We're not investing any more than we're willing to lose. We're not taking out loans or anything like that to buy stocks, which is a bad idea, in my opinion, not financial advice. Do your own research. This is for entertainment purposes only. Or, you're investing passive income, or you're investing income that you don't need, or money that you don't need, right? And don't stretch yourself too thin, and don't overdo it, and don't invest any more than you're willing to lose, right? So as long as you respect that, but there's people who actually are going to be let go of from this company, HEXO. They're going to be really impacted, right? Their families are going to be really impacted by this. So just, take a step back, take a deep breath, and realize that, there's some people here that are going to be really struggling because of, and the same thing happened with Afria, same thing happened with Redecan, same thing happened with Zenabis, and not just in this umbrella. It's happened in tons of other companies as well. So, Columbia Care and Cresco, probably a similar thing will happen there. And even companies in the US are laying people off. So just count your blessings. And again, heart goes out to those that will be infected by this merger, because it's definitely going to bring some layoffs. But HEXO shot up in anticipation of potential buyers rushed in anticipation of this deal, but it was up like 55% from the low of the day at one point, sitting at 129 after hours. Tilray, like I said, down from 274 closed to 257, so we're now down 6.2%. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if we were down 10 to 15% tomorrow at the open because of the big miss, but cushioned a little bit because of the fact that they got a good deal on HEXO and didn't pay a premium. So usually when we see a merger, the company that's buying, they go down because they're paying a premium. And then it's usually going to be, shares that are issued, so a little bit of dilution, things like that. And then the acquirer, or the acquiree, in this case HEXO, usually would go up. But again, because there was no premium, HEXO might actually go down as well. And then because Tilray missed big on their earnings, they might go down, like I said, 10 to 15%. So we should, in my opinion, we should see Tilray and HEXO lower at the open tomorrow. So like I said, Tilray back within the range of today, after hours. And then HEXO, like I said, from the low there, we went from $1.24 all the way up to $1.92. So we, in the end of the day there, we were up like 50, almost 55%. What do we just zoom in here to the 5-minute chart? Look at that. Massive volume coming in. But this is good in my opinion. I think, short term it's not going to be good for both stocks. Like I mentioned, I'm expecting downside for them both tomorrow. But like I said, overall, long term, this is going to be extremely bullish in my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. But this was, the writing was on the wall. HEXO hadn't updated a corporate presentation for many months. Actually, it was a year. I think it was over a year. And then they didn't have any earnings calls for a while. And then they finally put one out. They achieved positive net income for the first time in company history. And I think that's what enticed Tilray to pull the trigger. And obviously consolidation being needed in the space. And we'll jump into a recap of the earnings call. So obviously they just went over the regular mumbo jumbo, went over the results and things like that. And they mentioned that they have a fruit and vegetables business as well, which they're going to be using the Masson facility of HEXO primarily for that. They said there's a lot of great assets there at HEXO, obviously with Redecan, and then the Masson facility, Redecan's Ontario facility. And they just basically went over some of their alcohol business. They continue to win awards, and Sweetwater Brewing Co. is doing really well. Their Breckenridge Distillery business is doing really well. CC Pharma is doing really well. Positive adjusted EBITDA. What else did they mention from that earnings call recap? The Canadian government is the biggest beneficiary of, and the biggest MJ company out there. They're making a ton of profits, right? Hundreds of millions of dollars off of regular taxes and excise taxes. And HEXO paying a ton of taxes. So that he said that it's great because they're going to be able to bring that to the government now, right? So, and we already know that Justin Trudeau and the federal government has said that it's time that they catch up to the MJ industry, right, and support it. So one thing that we could likely expect is major taxation changes. And they also mentioned like distribution and packaging and labeling and things like that. Tons of changes. But one thing now, Tilray and HEXO as one entity is going to be able to go to the Canadian government and push for that reform, which I think is, and we know that there's a consultation period right now in Canada, specifically around the MJ Act. So we could see some changes forthcoming with regards to that and changes to regulation at some point over the next 3 to 6 months, in my opinion. And then obviously if we get, he just mentioned, it's not if, but when the U.S. legalizes. He mentioned that, they have a really good, the Czech Republic is another market that they're entering. They've got, their international, Germany's looking really good. They said they're ready for recreational rollout whenever that does happen, even though it might be a little bit delayed, but in a very, very good position at the moment. And then, like I said, on the calls in terms of questions, there was a ton of questions about HEXO. Obviously, that was going to be the case, but so many people just don't understand why I was bullish on HEXO. Well, now that, Tilray has acquired HEXO, you can just hear the excitement in Irwin Simon, the CEO of Tilray, when he was talking about HEXO. He said that there's so many good assets there, so many good brands, and he really likes what he sees in Redecan and the Redecan folk. And like I said, he's super bullish on HEXO. He's super bullish. He's very excited. He said he's very excited about the deal and looks forward to the future. And it goes to show you that, why would they be so interested in HEXO, right? They got a great deal as well. A lot of people were asking, why now? Why did you have to do this now? And he just said, you know what? Take advantage of this good deal. Tilray shareholders get a really, really good deal out of this. And they were able to use the Masson facility for vegetables and things like that, and diversifying their portfolio for vegetables and fruits. And, all this extra capacity, they even said, well, why don't you just cut down on your capacity and then save costs, right? Versus bringing in fruits and vegetables and things like that. And he said, well, you got to think, we spent, there's people selling these facilities for pennies on the dollar, right? And it's literally just been a burning pile of cash, right? So instead of just selling that at a loss and all for nothing, he said, if we do the fruits and vegetables route, right, we can later on come back to that if we want to as well. And we have that capacity, right? So it just gives them a little bit more flexibility and options, right? So that's pretty much, I think, all I had with regards to the conference call. I might think of some things as we go through the chat here, but again, let me know what you think in the comments. I will just go over the chart here. So I would expect a massive pullback, if not fade that whole move on HEXO and be down because there was no premium. In terms of the Tilray chart, I would expect that we we start daily consolidation and we lose the low of the day today tomorrow. So 256 is the low of the day today USD on the NASDAQ, and we'd be looking for a higher low somewhere around 242, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we pulled back to 240s into tomorrow. And then, like I said, that would put us down from the close today. That would put us down roughly 10 to 15%, which I think is very possible. And then on the weekly time frame, we were in a weekly uptrend here with the low, high, higher low, and higher high. But again, we're likely going to come back and test support. And then on the monthly time frame, it's a monthly inside bar. So we haven't even bounced yet on the monthly. So key resistance is going to be 283 on Tilray. If we break that, then we start the monthly bounce, and we know we still have to confirm a higher low and a higher high in a monthly uptrend to be confident that the bottom is in. But yeah, Tilray, one of the questions they asked him was why doesn't he own more Tilray shares? And he said, I'm not selling any. I don't have any plans to sell any. That's not my my goal. He kind of dodged the question a little bit, but another question was the share price. And obviously he's like, I'm not happy with their share price, and it's not reflective of the the potential and the value in the company, and they really want to see the share price recover and provide as much shareholder value as possible. So pretty much just the regular response to I don't even know why people ask that question, to be honest. It's like okay, Tilray is down from February 2021 highs. Yes, it's down 97%, but again, all MJ is. Look at CGC. CGC from its 2021 highs is down over 97%. HEXO 97% or 99% actually, right? So and then if you look at MSOS, the ETF, it is down over 90%. And then you got companies like Green Thumb that are profitable, and from its all-time high in February 2021 high to current levels, it's down over 81%. So what's their excuse, right? So again, it's just everything. People are finally realizing that this isn't just one or two companies in the MJ space or a Canadian company, MJ company problem. This is an industry problem. This is an MJ problem, and we need, rescheduling. We need taxation regulation changes, right? The removal of 280E, the removal of all these high excise taxes in Canada. So again, Erwin on the call mentioned many times that the Canadian government has been the biggest beneficiary to date with regards to MJ, right? And in my opinion, I think we're going to see some changes very, very soon. And then, 420 coming up here next week on Thursday. So jumping into the chat, I see we have close to 50 people. So welcome. Thanks for joining the stream. Thanks for all of your contributions and your comments. And like I said, let me know in the comments what you think of this news with HEXO, and if you had time to digest it. What do you think of the earnings? What did you think of the earnings call? That's pretty much my 2 cents. Obviously, as a HEXO investor myself, not great that we didn't get a premium. And, it makes you wonder why HEXO didn't just sell its business to Tilray for $3 a share when they offered it, back in November, a year and a half ago, I think it was. So why didn't they take that? Well, again, if everybody had a crystal ball, we'd all be on a yacht somewhere, right? But no one, like Tilray CEO Erwin Simon said in the call, he said no one could have predicted this would have happened, right? In the MJ industry, everybody is just as shocked as you or I are, right? So it is what it is, and we were dealt a bad hand, and the whole sector is down, right? So now it's about consolidation. Now it's about getting on board with the governments around the world, getting up to speed and starting to support the MJ industry, like Justin Trudeau has said with the Liberals here in Canada, right? So not to get political, but it's basically pretty much. It's blatantly obvious that the government needs to catch up to the industry, right? Here we go, you bet, coming in from Georgia. It's up from QC, Quebec. 420, you bet, coming up next week. Please cover Erwin Simon, our 19 million USD a year liability. He dilutes shareholders and has a history of this. Check out his previous Hain Celestial performance. Would rather they name Charlie Bowman. Yeah. I'm not too privy to his previous endeavors, but lots of. One thing I learned about a YouTube channel is everybody's a critic, and everybody has everything to say about other people. But at the end of the day, people are just doing their best. I think Charlie Bowman is great as well, but whether or not he's the best man for the job or woman, man or woman, whoever ends up being at the reign, I would say Erman's probably going to stay there. But one thing I noticed is that you can't please everybody, right? There's tons of people who love Erwin Simon. There's tons of people who hate him. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, right? It is what it is. And like I said, I see tons of people supporting me, tons of people who don't support me. It's hard to please everybody. So yeah, at the end of the day, you just gotta be as honest and do your best. And whatever happens, we have no control over it. So for the most part, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, diluting, this is a necessary, step, in my opinion, to consolidating in Canada. He said there's over 1,000 LPs right now in Canada, which is just insane, right? Lots of companies are probably going to go bankrupt. But, on that note, tons of people were saying, Tilray, or that HEXO was going to go bankrupt and HEXO wouldn't be around and, whatever. And I just didn't believe that at all. And I thought the most likely scenario is they remain two public independent companies. But if not, Tilray would buy HEXO, because those Redecan assets and the slims and the pre-roll tech with the Redecan Reddies is massive, right? Like that's worth over $1 billion easily. And yeah, it is what it is. I don't really have any comment on that, to be honest, but thank you for your question. CEO and they talked about vegetables again. What the F? Yeah. So VFF, Village Farms kind of has a vegetable business as well. I'm not big on that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's probably just a stopgap until they get to U.S. legalization. And he also mentioned that, Sweetwater Brewing Co. and all these Breckenridge Distillery, they could easily infuse MJ into those brands, right? So that's something that'll come as well. And that's massive, right? Like this is, in my opinion, I've been saying for a while, HEXO and Tilray, whether they're together or they're not, as a company merger, they're going to be top 5 globally, right? And now that they're going to merge, we're certainly looking that way. HEXO's going to pretty much approve it, in my opinion, shareholders, and then we should see it close, here early summer. And then, from that point on, it's going to be a powerhouse, right? And they talked about MedMen as well. Erwin Simon on the call said he's very, very bullish on MedMen. He likes what he sees with the turnaround and the writing of that ship. And he said he's very, very bullish on MedMen. So this is a powerhouse in the making. And like I said, they're very, very well positioned for U.S. legalization. But I think a lot of these, updates to their wellness business, their distribution business, and now the, vegetables and fruits and things like that, that's just a stopgap to get them towards, profitability, positive cash flow, and then as we await federal legalization in the U.S., right? So I think that's what the purpose of that is. And then he even said the Masson facility from HEXO there in Quebec is a crown jewel, and he said a lot of that will pertain to the vegetable aspect of the business. My question is, since they will change our HEXO shares to Tilray at 125, at what price our Tilray shares will be at? And will that lower your Tilray average when it happens? So I wouldn't even really worry about the 125. Just look at the ratio. So the ratio, let me just bring it up here. So the exchange ratio is 4.352. So you will get, for every one HEXO share, you will get 0.4352 Tilray shares, right? So just add up how many HEXO shares you have today, and then times it by that. And then that's how many Tilray shares you'll have, right? And you don't need to do anything. It's just going to automatically convert it for you. So that's just the most simplistic way to think about it. So yeah, just look at your MJ portfolio, add up your HEXO shares, and then take that number and times it by 0.4352. That's how many Tilray shares you'll have after that. But yeah, Tilray is essentially going to be buying the rest of the deal, the transaction details. Let me just go through here. Anyways, I don't have the exact number here. I think it was like 70 million or something outstanding to get the rest of the shares. But essentially, they're going to be using that stock, issuing stock, right? So it's going to be a little bit of dilution. But yeah, essentially just add your amount of HEXO shares and then times it by 0.4352. And that's how many Tilray shares you'll have. Earnings call was blame game. Yeah, and a lot of, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's true though. Like, what is the governments around the world doing to support the MJ industry? They're not, right? And it's because the incumbents, right, the pharmaceutical companies, the big alcohol and tobacco companies, they want the prices low for as long as possible so that they can accumulate, and then not only that, so that they can start to prepare for the inevitable legalization in the U.S. And they have the most to lose, right? Big pharma, big alcohol, big tobacco. Big pharma being the biggest, in my opinion, for the most to lose. So they're planning, right? All these pharmaceutical companies are getting into CBD and different aspects of the MJ plant, and that's because there's even studies results out now saying that MJ helps with opioid addiction, and it's like obviously the pharmaceutical companies have the most to lose, so they're playing catch up. They're slowing the industry down, and I think a lot of these companies, right? They lobby the U.S. government and the governments around the world to make changes, right? And they're not lobbying and looking to make changes because they don't want it yet. They're still catching up, right? Those incumbents. So, in my opinion, yeah, it's absolutely a blame game because these MJ companies are at a disadvantage. They're being hindered, and they're being hindered because of the government is being greedy and they're taking all the money for themselves. Obviously, the government has to get paid first, and they always will, but they don't need to be hindering the industry as much as they are, right? And it is what it is until things change. You just have to find companies that are going to be here and stand the test of time, right? 5 to 10 years from now. So I think Tilray is going to be a huge winner long term, and I'm not worried at all long term. But yeah, like I said, Green Thumb down 81% from February 2021 in all-time highs. We see TrueLeave down over 90% from its all-time high in February 2021 highs. What are their excuses, right? Why are they down 80, 90% and they're profitable? Right? Look at Green Thumb's financials and revenue, and it's just amazing. Look at High Tide. High Tide down over 80% from February 2021 and all-time highs, right? And their revenue's continuing to grow. What's their excuse, right? It's an MJ problem. So I would say, yeah, like it's easy to say the blame game because that's, it's obvious, right? Erwin Simon bought a hotel in Hamptons to fit the Tilray Montauk purchase. Yep. He is playing in the Hamptons with shareholder money. Yeah, I was a little off put by that as well. I don't know what their goal is with that. There was no questions with regards to that purchase of the hotel. To be honest, some of the moves Tilray makes, I'm like, what? I don't understand it. But we'll see. One thing's for sure, I'm not selling my HEXO shares. I'm not selling my Tilray shares. I'm holding it. I placed my bets, right? I did my research. I placed my bets. I was accumulating Tilray over this last 3-4 months heavily in preparation of this inevitable outcome of this merger, and lowering my cost basis on HEXO. Eventually, HEXO shares are going to turn into Tilray, and I've got a ton of other MJ stocks in my portfolio as well. 14 or 15. Organigram reports earnings tomorrow after the market close. I'm very bullish on Organigram as well, right? I've got some American producers, very bullish on Curaleaf, very bullish on MJ as a whole, right? And I've got High Tide, retailers as well, ETFs. So I will just continue to dollar cost average, but I'm not selling it because there's money. The only reason why I know most people are upset and so emotional is because they broke the golden rule. They invested more than they were willing to lose. There's some people I know are down $300,000 on Tilray. Some people that are down hundreds of thousands of dollars as well on HEXO, and not just that, LPs, but MSOs now, companies in the U.S., with most companies in the U.S. being down 80 to 90%. But in my opinion, if you're down $100,000 or $300,000 or $1 million on an MJ stock, you probably broke the golden rule, right? You don't want to invest any more than like 10% of your net worth into one MJ company. And, I know some people that are down $300,000, and if I asked them what their net worth was, I can guarantee you it wouldn't be, that wouldn't be 10% of their net worth. It's probably like, they probably took out loans and all this stuff. And like, that's on you, man. Like, again, I'm not telling you what you want to hear. I'm telling you what you need to hear. Yes, I'm down 80 to 90% on my MJ portfolios, but I'm nowhere near down 100 grand, right? Like way less than that, like maybe 30 or 40 grand total, but I continue to buy the dip and dollar cost average into names and diversify, not in the MJ space, but outside of the MJ space as well. So, I sleep great at night, and I'm not trying to boast or say that I'm, obviously I didn't see things going 80 to 90% in the downside either, but I didn't invest any more than I was willing to lose. I kept a ton of cash, right? 6-figure cash position to dollar cost average, and I'm diversifying into multiple different MJ companies and then into other sectors as well. So let this be a learning opportunity and lesson for all of us, right? That's the number one rule. Don't invest any more than you're willing to lose. And, have a plan and, just learn from it, right? So cost of playing in the market, right? Netflix was down over 80% in a few months, right? And that's a well-established company, right? So again, people get wrecked all the time, not just in MJ and crypto and big tech stocks, right? Everything, right? As HEXO shareholder, you should be pissed. Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, though, I think it was, if anybody didn't see this coming as a possibility, you're sleeping under a rock, right? But obviously the no premium, things like that played a big factor. Yeah, definitely way better deal for Tilray, right? But at the end of the day, better than HEXO not being able to meet its covenants or financial requirements and then going into creditor protection and then us losing everything. At least now we get Tilray shares, right? So it could always be worse. He totally avoided the question. You must mean the why isn't he buying more shares one? Yeah, I think that's what you meant. Canadian News reported a shortage of greenhouses. Oh yeah, okay, wasn't aware of that. But yeah, maybe that's why they're doing some research into the vegetable and fruit business and things like that. Do you think when Tilray gets back on track, they will provide a dividend? Well, yeah, I think so. As Curly founder Boris Jordan said, and I did a video on this. If you go to my YouTube channel, go to videos and search Cura MJ stocks when dividends. So he said they've paid about $340 million to the U.S. government in 280E tax. And he said that if it wasn't for 280E, they'd probably already be paying a dividend. And he said that MJ companies, in his opinion, are going to be high cash flowing businesses. And he thinks that a lot of MJ companies are going to be offering dividends in the future. So again, that's pretty much all I needed to know. And then also New Jersey is getting into legislation proposed changes to remove 280E at the state level. And Cureleaf has a big presence in New Jersey. So that's another name that I've been adding heavily to my MJ portfolio as we look for that reform with regards to taxation and regulation in the US. But yeah, absolutely. I think MJ companies will be very high paying dividend companies. So we are going to lose some of our shares in HEXO. So we're going to lose some of our shares in HEXO. Yeah, essentially your shares are, however many shares of HEXO you have, it's going to be cut in half, a little over half, right? So 57%, right? Because the ratio is 0.43. So if you have 1,000 HEXO shares, after the conversion, you'll have like 430 Tilray shares, right? So it's 57% less shares that you would have. So just whatever your portfolio says of HEXO shares, take that number and times it by 0.43, and that's how many Tilray shares you'll have after the deal's done. What are your thoughts on CA monthly MJ record sales continuing to climb, but a lot of producer sales keep dropping? Do you know when the HEXO deal will be sealed? Yeah, so that is because of there's now over 1,000 LPs, they said on the conference call, Erwin said. So that's attributed to the reason why. We're seeing sales go up in Canada, but individual companies are reporting lower revenues because of that price war as well that's going on. But not only that, there's now over 1,000 licensed producers in Canada, so producers competing for all this market share, right? So that's why sales are going up, but market share for companies and revenue for companies individually is going down. In terms of the deal, when is it going to be done? It was June, so they're going to turn it around rather quickly. They just came out with a correction on their earnings as well. I'm just going to share the screen. Correction. Not sure what they corrected there. I'll have to look into that a little bit later. But let's see here. Bringing it up. Expected to close in June 2023. There you go. Thought that's what it was, but just wanted to confirm. When will the conversion happen? So it'll be around June. Yeah. So once the shareholders approve it with HEXO, then you should see it sometime in June, right? You should wake up one day, not have to do anything at all, and your HEXO shares will say Tilray shares. And some brokers are slower than others, but yeah, a couple of days, a day or two, usually after the deal is done, is when we should see. But again, they'll come out with they'll update us as we go along, right? It's not expected to close until June, so it's only April, so we got a couple months. We'll see some updates. But hopefully that answers your question. How about MJ ETF stock? Yep, so you can just take a look. So MJ, the Alternative Harvest ETF, all-time low, right? We're monthly oversold. So if you know nothing about technical analysis and you just buy when we're oversold here and then sell when we're near overbought, you do a lot better than most retail investors, right? So, we're at all-time lows. So, this is a name that you could potentially look to load up on, as a more safer play because it's an ETF, right? So it's got a basket of different MJ companies. I think it's a good idea to diversify, right? Have some Canadian producers, have some American producers, have some retailers in Canada and the US, have some, picks and shovels, like things that grow generation, getting into, different growing utensils and products and things like that. And then ETFs as well, right? Retailers. MJ ETF, still lots of work to do here. Dropping to monthly lower lows, monthly oversold. We've still yet to even start the monthly bounce. So we've got a lot of work to do here before we can be confident bottom is in. But in my opinion, what's likely going to confirm a bottom is going to be regulation changes at the taxation level. So if we can finally see more favorable changes towards taxation in Canada, and then, like I said, some companies in Canada are paying 30 to 40% of their revenue is going towards excise taxes, right? So that, in my opinion, changes to that MJ Act here in Canada and taxation and things like that are going to be what sets us a bottom, and then potential changes to 280E and descheduling in the US as well, and safe banking, right? I think that's probably going to be what it is that lifts us out of this bear market and sparks a new bull market. And then obviously potential legalization of medical MJ in the US. But yeah, it's still lots of work to do on MJ, but I think it's a good idea to have some exposure to some ETFs, and I think MJ's a decent ETF to be looking at. Will the converted shares to Tilray dollar cost average your Tilray shares? Not really. Yeah, not really. Not really sure I understand your question 100%. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, your shares are going to turn into Tilray. Tilray is going to have some dilution there to acquire the outstanding, those outstanding shares of HEXO. But I'm not really 100% sure I understand your question. Like, will it lower your cost average? Like, you're going to get more Tilray shares. And like, if you don't already have Tilray in your portfolio, there's no dollar cost averaging to be had, right? Because like if you're just holding HEXO and then you get Tilray, you had no dollar, had no average. But it'll definitely lower your average, yeah. But yeah, some people might not even own Tilray, so in that case it wouldn't. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. It's a bit of a strange one. HEXO shareholder approval and court approval is expected to close in June 2023. Yep, exactly. Will HEXO stay stagnant or go lower until the completion of the sale, in your thoughts and opinion? Again, because there was no premium and the industry standards like 20-30% on average above the current share price, it's no wonder why HEXO's back down after hours to, it's sitting at 129. So the deal price was 125 and we closed at 164. So, and we were up to like 192 there at one point, but then because the deal had no premium and it was basically transacted at $1.25, that's exactly where we dropped back down to, was that deal price of 125 after hours. So I would expect HEXO to go down tomorrow slightly because of Tilray missing big on the earnings and because they didn't get a premium. So yeah, I think HEXO would go down short term. In terms of what to expect leading into the deal closing, it's really going to depend on the sector, right? If we can get some sort of changes to the MJ Act here in Canada, and then in the US, maybe legalization of medical or descheduling, rescheduling, anything like that, I think that will send stocks in MJ flying, a couple 100% at least. That's a tough question. I would say that short to medium term, we're probably going to see more downsides. Definitely short term, I think. And then we should, I think we could start to trend upwards leading into that deal. But I wouldn't expect massive upside leading into the deal until we have some sort of catalyst in the sector, whether it be, Canadian review of the Canadian tax or the US tax or safe banking or, descheduling, rescheduling, or legalization of medical, right? Thanks, you're welcome. Is there any profit made on holding HEXO at current levels, considering the sale was for $250 million versus HEXO's current market cap of about $50 million? Obviously there's going to be, we'll see what happens tomorrow when the price of Tilray opens up. We'll be able to gauge a little bit more if it's better to just sell HEXO and buy Tilray or wait through the conversion. Personally, I'm just going to hold HEXO, and I'm not going to sell it. And something you have to keep in mind too is when you go to buy and sell things, you're going to trigger a capital gain or capital loss. So again, I'm not legally able to tell you what to do. So you'll have to make. I'll do some more research on that, and maybe I'll give a plan. Maybe I'll do another video specifically on that, because that's a great question. What's the benefit of holding HEXO versus selling it and then into Tilray now, or just waiting through the conversion? Personally, I'm like 99% sure I'm just going to hold my HEXO and then let it convert into Tilray. And then, I've got Tilray in my portfolio as well, which I've been adding heavily to over the last few months in anticipation of this deal potentially happening. And I'll keep everybody posted on that. Like I said, I'll do some more research, and then I'll probably do another video dedicated specifically to that question, because that is a very important question. Thank you for that. Will Tilray drop back down to lower twos? I think so, yeah, because of the fact that they had a big miss on EPS and revenue, $1.2 billion loss. It didn't look good at all. And the earnings call wasn't that great. There wasn't a whole lot to look forward to. And like I said, because there was no premium on HEXO, HEXO's probably going to go down to maybe 5-10%. I think Tilray could be down 10-15% tomorrow when it opens. So yeah, I think we should see lower in the low twos. I have both. So I was wondering if it will lower my Tilray average. Sorry, I'm new to this. Company's buying other companies and don't know how it works. Yeah, no worries. Like I said, maybe I'll do a specific video for that. And like how it's going to affect your Tilray position and whether or not it's more beneficial to own Tilray leading into the conversion or to hold HEXO and just let it convert automatically. But no, I understand your question. So thank you for that. I'll take it offline, and like I said, I'm gonna probably do a whole nother video on that, because I think a lot of people would be wondering the same. But if you do have Tilray shares, it should in theory lower your cost basis, because you probably bought Tilray a lot higher than that, right? Than what it's currently at, and you're going to be getting these shares. So yeah, it's definitely going to average. It's definitely going to lower your average of Tilray, because you're going to have more shares. And you didn't pay any extra money. You're just your HEXO shares are converting into Tilray. But like I said, I'll do another video. That's a great concept and subject for another video. The question on dollar cost averaging into shares is something that can be played with over the next month plus with arbitrage into the position. Yeah, exactly. So if we start to see more downside in Tilray, vice versa, or more downside in HEXO, then that exchange ratio is going to play a factor, and we'll have a better idea tomorrow leading into once the market kind of settles down and we see things stabilize. But yeah, that's a great question and a great idea for another video. So I'll definitely, but yeah, you're hitting the nail on the head there right now, whether or not there's going to be a nice arbitrage opportunity. HEXO shareholders got robbed, in my opinion, laughing out loud. Yeah, it's been brutal. Retail investors getting shafted, and a lot of the HEXO staff are going to be let go as well, right? So you know, there's always somebody who's got it worse. And like I said, my heart goes out to those that are going to be affected by this acquisition, because there's definitely going to be a ton of HEXO people that are going to be let go. So not just shareholders, it's been, and it's not just HEXO either. It's Tilray shareholders are just absolutely destroyed, right? They're down 97% as well in the last couple of years. So we can all understand each other's pain and suffering. And at the moment, we're just all locking arms, and we're now one big happy family, right? We're the Tilray, HEXO, Aphria, Redecan family. And at the end of the day, I've never been more bullish on the MJ space. It's not going anywhere. We just have to be patient and wait it out, right? Find companies that are going to be here in 5 to 10 years from now that are going to, you know, stand the test of time. And this is literally going to be a life-changing industry, right? It's just most people don't have the stomach to deal with this 80 to 90% drawdowns, right? And the same thing happens in crypto. Same thing happens in big tech, right? In the internet boom. For crying out loud, heck, look at Netflix. So from the all-time high, in a couple of months, it was down almost 80% in 6 months. So it lost 80% of its value in 6 months, and MJ has lost 80 to 90% of its value since February 2021 highs. So again, like, everything investing wise is risky, right? And you can get wrecked in anything, in any sector, any industry, right? So let this be a lesson. What are you going to do next time? Because there's going to be more 80 to 90% pullbacks in your lifetime, right? If you're listening to me right now and you're investing money, there's going to be another time in your life where something, mark my words, is going to drop 80 to 90%. So how are you going to prepare for that, right? I've seen it with crypto, and that's why I was glad that I learned crypto first, is because I was able to, because it's more volatile than MJ in my opinion, and I was able to learn how to deal with that. And how I dealt with that was having a short position on the S&P 500, and then using those profits to buy more beaten down MJ, not investing any more than I was willing to lose, and also having a huge cash position to dollar cost average, but owning multiple MJ stocks, owning other stocks other than MJ, owning some crypto, owning some real estate, right? So I did another video as well on how to prepare for one of the biggest market crashes in history, and right here. So go check that out if you're wondering. And again, you can apply all of this. Everybody's situation is going to be different. What works for me doesn't work for everybody else. But you know, maybe you can find some nuggets in there that can potentially help you for the next time you see an 80 to 90% drawdown in one of your investments. Because mark my words, there will 110% be another time where a company goes down 80 to 90% from its high, right? That's what I was thinking. Cool. So HEXO is going to keep trading at 0.43 to Tilray's price until conversion, right? It'll change. So, but that ratio is not going to change. But we'll get a better idea of what is more beneficial to hold HEXO or Tilray leading into that conversion, right? So again, I'll do another video dedicated on that. It is pretty complicated, so I'll try to do another video and you know, make it as easy to understand as possible. That makes sense. Thank you. You're welcome. Tilray market cap doesn't offer the same upside potentially than HEXO. Yeah. Tilray market cap's definitely large. So, but yeah, I mean, if Tilray gets into like Budweiser's market cap, right, you're talking, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars. That's still, you know, a lot of upside. HEXO, that being said, at least they just got stronger and they're not likely to be sold for the cheap. Yeah, exactly. And then, like I said, what if HEXO broke the covenants or they weren't able to meet their financial obligations? This is way better than you know, HEXO just going under, right? Could always be worse, but at least our HEXO shares turn into Tilray. And another thing as well is Tilray has a massive following, right? They have a ton of retail investors that are passionate about the company, and it's one of the poster childs of the MJ space, right? It's had $2.4 billion traded in one day. $2.4 billion with a B was traded in Tilray stock. So it's also loved by Wall Street banks and market makers and whales. So I think the next bull market is going to be massive, absolutely massive for Tilray. And it's just incredible to watch what has transpired over the last few years. But yeah, Tilray by far the biggest conglomerate in the MJ space, and it's going to be a massive company going forward, in my opinion, in the long term. And I do think it'll be here in the long term, you know, 5, 10 plus years from now. If a person has a small loss, then isn't it good to sell and invest in something else to make up for that loss? Well, not generally, because most people buy high and sell low. So if you sell low, most people are probably going to go buy something else at the high, and then that's going to go down to the low, and then it's just going to be a vicious cycle, right? Because people, what do we know about retail investors? They're usually wrong, and they like to buy high and sell low, which is the complete opposite of investing. So what I've seen is I saw a ton of people buy HEXO, sell HEXO, and then buy like High Tide, and then High Tide just like completely crashed over the last few months, right? And then they sold HEXO at a loss, and then HEXO actually jumped like 100%. It went from 90 cents to like $1.80, right? $1.90 today. So over 100% gain. And then, they bought High Tide, and then High Tide dropped another 30-40%, and then they probably sold that too and said, you know what, this isn't for me. Right? So I think getting in and out of positions is just a recipe for disaster. For the most part, right, there's some people who could make that work, but I would say 99%, maybe 95 to 99% of people, you're better off. The data just says to just buy and hold and wait, especially in like the MJ or crypto industry, right, where it's volatile, and there's so much growth, right? So personally, I wouldn't sell at a loss. And it's not just HEXO that it's a loss. Like Tilray's down drastically, right? My Tilray investment's down. My Cureleaf investments are down, right? All my other MJ plays as well are down drastically as well. So personally, I don't like that idea. But hopefully that helps. Hi, Rod. When I convert my HEXO to Tilray, it will double my dollar cost average. We'll have to dollar cost average again. Yep, exactly. So whatever works for you, right? If you got extra capital, you're not going to stretch yourself too thin. You're not dipping into your rent money or your mortgage money or your living expenses money, or you're not borrowing money, loaning, taking a loan out or something like that. Then I'm going to be dollar cost averaging as well. I'll continue to dollar cost average. I've been dollar cost averaging in crypto as well. So yeah, not a bad idea. Then buy Tilray later. Yep. HEXO calls will go worthless. That's a good question. I'm not sure what the... I'll have to look into that. Yeah, I mean, probably. Yeah, and again, that's why I don't really like options. I'm not a big fan of options, to be honest. But yeah, I'll look into that. I'll see if I can find that out for you. Good question. I really don't know. I'm trying to think. Unless it just like cancels the order and you get your money back. I don't know. That's a good question. At least HEXO bankruptcy story is done. One positive. Yeah. I just wanted to bang my head off that wall behind me so many times when I heard bankruptcy. It was like, no, it's not that easy. We're not going to see HEXO just go bankrupt, right? Just didn't make any sense, right? They could have sold their stake in trust. Like there were so many options. And then, Tilray owning all the debt, and then no core presentation for the last, year on HEXO. Just all, as time went on, it was more and more evident that Tilray was probably going to acquire HEXO. And yeah, all those bankruptcy fudsters, it's like, now they know, right? Now they're like, okay, maybe we shouldn't jump to conclusions too quickly. And then, but that's just mostly people are just acting emotionally, right? And the media is designed to make you feel that way too, right? So, it is what it is. But yeah, super happy about that. But the deal hasn't finished yet either, so we want to see the deal 100% finish. HEXO has beverage business in Canada. What does Tilray have in the Canadian market? They've got tons of stuff. HEXO actually doesn't have beverage business in Canada. It's the joint venture with Molson Coors Canada, Trust Beverage Co. So they own 43.2%, I think, of that venture. So it's actually owned by Molson Coors and HEXO through Trust Beverage Co. Tilray actually has its own beverages, and they're going to be working with HEXO to create that type of strategic alliance. But essentially, it's now going to be Tilray's joint venture with Molson Coors Canada. And now that I think about it, Tilray backed into the Budweiser, the Anheuser-Busch deal. So again, that was another thing to give us, credence and more confluence and reassurance that HEXO was going to get acquired by Tilray, because Tilray got out of the beverage business deal with Budweiser and Anheuser-Busch, and likely knowing that they were just going to acquire HEXO, and then they'd have that joint venture with Molson Coors, right? So that makes a whole lot of sense now, right? So again, the writing was on the wall that the more time went on, that HEXO was probably going to get acquired. But Tilray has a ton here. Like, they've got in Canada, they got flour, they got vapes, they've got CBD, they got topicals, gels, and things like that. Like, HEXO is really great in straight edge and pre rolls with the Redican pre roll tech, and capsules and oils and things like that. So that's going to complement Tilray. But yeah, Tilray's like vertically integrated, right? They're into everything. They got edibles, they got beverages, they got flour, they got pre rolls, they got vapes, they've got the infused pre rolls now, right? Tons of stuff. And then also the Tyson brand, T2.0, is now going to be under that Tilray umbrella as well, right? So it's just like, man, this is a powerhouse if I've ever seen one. It's almost unfair to the rest of the market. But there's going to be lots of winners and losers, both Canadian and US and in other countries as well. But yeah, a lot of companies are going to go bankrupt. There's no way that there's going to be 1,000 licensed producers in Canada for the test of, like, for the end of time, right? Like, it's probably going to be like scores, right? Like 20 or 30 or something like that. Maybe even lower, I would think. You think Tilray has potential to be a $100 billion market cap? See it? Yeah, I 100%. Yeah, because like they got Alpine, they got Sweetwater Brewing Co. Right? They got Breckenridge Distillery. They've got they got tons of. What was that other acquisition? Montauk. Yeah, so they got tons of verticals and just branches in their business. Their wellness business, alcohol, MJ, they got distribution business as well. And they're getting into like fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. So this could be easily worth $100 billion in my opinion. Not out of the question at all. By the way, OGI went up 10% today, so hooray to that. Yeah, and they got earnings after the bell tomorrow. I'm very bullish on OGI. I really like that company. Positive adjusted EBITDA as well in the last quarter, so we'll see if they can continue that trend. I think Tilray will be better now after this merger. I will miss HEXO though. It's my favorite MJ company. Yeah, absolutely. And I updated my my backdrop here. It's now Tilray HEXO. Definitely an end of an era and a chapter that we'll all remember. But it's it is what it is, and I'm still obviously I would have loved a premium on our HEXO deal, but it is what it is, and we know that we're going to have Tilray shares after this, and we're just going to come out stronger in the end. Fire and Flower 2. Yep. Manitoba Harvest. Yep, they've got tons of stuff, right? And they also mentioned on the earnings call, I think it was Whole Foods, which Whole Foods is a subsidiary of Amazon. Whole Foods Market is the largest American chain of supermarket and specializes in natural organic foods. And it was acquired by Amazon in 2017. So yeah, like I could easily see Tilray at $100 billion market cap in the future. Just question is how long it's going to take to get there. All right, going to start wrapping it up. Thanks everybody for your contributions to the live stream. Just under 1 hour. Wanted to keep it around an hour, so pretty much exactly where I wanted to be in terms of time. So again, thank you everybody for joining the live stream. Thanks for your contributions. Thanks for all your support as well. Definitely no shortage of haters out there today, but really appreciate all the kind-hearted people who are supporting me. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball either. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. I'm a retail investor just like every one of you, and I'm honestly just trying to get to the truth and uncover the truth just like all of you, right? And as we know, retail investors are usually at a disadvantage, and if I can help one person out there, that's all I'm looking to do, right? And again, I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. I didn't think that they were going to merge. I thought they'd remain two public independent companies, but I was the first to admit that I was wrong. And over the last few months, as time went on, we've seen more and more reasoning as to why it was probably an inevitability and a very realistic outcome, right? And now that it's happened, I was positioning my MJ portfolio accordingly, right? I was adding some Tilray, things like that, right? I was diversifying into other companies as well. And yeah, I just filed my taxes. I'm going to get a big return because I contributed, 5 figures to my RSP last year. So I'm going to getting a big return, another 5-figure return in my RSP. And I'll be using that return money from my retirement savings plan and my tax rebate. I'll be using that to buy more beaten down MJ, right? So again, all of these things can help you. And hopefully somebody was able to, hopefully I helped multiple people prepare for, some success here in the future, because Lord knows everybody knows, God knows we could use some, chuck us a bone, for lack of a better word, right? It's just like, wow, who's seen this coming, right? Multiple companies in the MJ industry didn't see this coming. And we just couldn't have possibly predicted that this would happen, right? All MJ companies would be down 80 to 90% plus since February 21. Who would have predicted that, right? Even companies that are profitable like Green Thumb and High Tide, who have great margins, great revenue growth, that all those companies down 80+%, right? So it is what it is, but going to end it there. What's your opinion on Germany? If it doesn't look that good so far, they're talking about a violation of the world rules and stuff. Yeah, so the EU, just waiting for some EU recommendations and review of the of their legalization efforts. But they did say that it could be, they said that they're ready to go once Germany does roll out recreational adult use. But they didn't seem too worried about that if it was delayed. Can't wait till MedMen comes on board. Yep, that's very, very possible in my opinion. He's like I said, he said in the call, he's very bullish on MedMen, likes what he sees, and likes the reorganization and restructuring that they did. You definitely are helping me. I appreciate you. Do whether you are right or wrong. I appreciate you either if you're right or wrong. I've learned a lot from you, and you deserve all the support. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, like I said, if I can help one or even 2 people, makes it all worth it. And like I said, I got tons of people who been saying pretty nasty things, trolling me today. I don't really care, to be honest. I've become numb to it. Can't please everybody. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, no matter what you do, there's always going to be people who are supporting you, and there's always going to be people who are trying to knock you down, and shame on them, right? Like, if you get off or get, joy out of making other people feel miserable, well, whatever, I guess. It's like, I can't imagine living my life like that, and I'm just grateful that I'm not, that kind of person, and I'm a good person, and I have a good heart, and I want everybody here on the stream to do well. And I'll continue to make content. I'll continue to make videos. And my whole mission is to help each and every one of you, but also help myself, right? And I truly believe I was put on this earth to pioneer this amazing industry, this medicine of the future. And as long as I'm on this earth and I'm alive, I'll be making content. So all you haters out there that enjoy, ragging on people and bringing the people down, and that makes you amused, well, guess what? I'm not going anywhere. So it's like... wow. It's like, I just can't believe, that people they find joy in making other people feel bad. It's sad. It is what it is, but you know what? There's always going to be balance. There's always going to be, that good and evil and cold, that different, 100% different, right? On the other opposite of the spectrum, right? There's always going to be, the opposite people out there, and good and evil, and yeah, it is what it is. I'm starting to ramble at this point, but all I know for sure is I'm grateful for each and every one of you. I'm grateful to be healthy, and it's only money, and we all learned a lot, and I continue to learn a lot as well from each and every one of you. So definitely appreciate the support, and it goes both ways. So thank you to all of you. Tilray will end up as HEXO, but acquired by a big pharma, unfortunately for us. You rock. Don't pay attention to the haters. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yep. Well, like I said, haters can get used to it because I'm going to be around. As long as I'm alive, I'll be making videos. So, yeah. All in good fun. You got to have fun as well, right? It's if you're not having fun in the stock market, what's the point, right? So, learning a lot, and continuously learning as well, right? And it's that's life, right? We continue to grow. If you're not growing, you're dying, and it is what it is. And there's lots to be learned over the last couple of years, and I think it's going to only make us stronger. So going to end it there. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rob with Power Group. Again, if you could smash like on your way out, I'd appreciate it. Share the video with anybody that might find value, and we shall see you again on the next video. Take care. Have a great night.